Tere tulemast kuulama Inspiraatorid podcasti. Mina olen Sigrit Säga ja igal nädalal toon sinuni enda mõtteid või pean vestlusi erinevate inspireerivate inimestega, kes jagavad praktilisi tööriistu ja strateegiaid, mille abil sina saad kasvatada oma sissetulekut ja positiivset mõju teiste eludele. Ja kui sa tahad osaleda meie podcastide salvestusel laivis, siis liitu ka meie Inspiraatorid nimelise Facebooki grupiga, mille lingi leiad podcasti kirjeldusest. Ja siit tuleb meie tänane episood. No nii, tere tulemast kõigile meie reedusele õppimisneljapäevale. Seekord langes siis niimoodi ja meil on täna erakordne külalisesineja. See on esimene kord, kus ma arvan, et nii kõrgekaliibrilise inimesega saan jagada seda Zoomi, seda vestlust ja mul on väga hea meel, et ma saan Täniga teie ette tuua. Ja siin kohal, kes ei tea, kes meie tänane külalisesineja on, siis meil on täna külas Brulé. Ja kui sa oled üldse kuidagi moodi hingamisega kokku puutunud, siis Tän on maailma tasemel üks inimestest, kes on üks nende eestvedajatest selle teema üldse tipus oli ja kuidas õpetada inimestele tippsooritust läbi siis erinevate hingamispraktikate. Ja ma päriselt, kui ma nüüd olen viimasel ajal Täni kohta rohkem teada saanud, siis seda suuremaks minu silmad lähevad. Sellepärast, et üks huvitav fakt, mis ma teada sain, on see, et Tän on oma alal kauem tegutsenud ja inimesi aidanud, kui ma olen elanud ja seda 2 korda kauem. Nii et see on nagu eriti minu meelest hästi äge asi, et Tän on tegelenud sellega üle 50 aasta ja selle aja jooksul on ta aidanud treenida siis üle 250 000 inimese üle maailma. 167 riigis. Ja see on nagu selline utoopiline number, kui me vaatame sellisest Eesti kontekstist, kus meid see on põhimõtteliselt veerand Eestit. Veerand Eestit on ära nagu aidatud ja viidud lähemale nende eesmärkidele tänu nende praktikatega. Aga täna mul on see võimalus tuua Täni pilti natukene teises vaatenurgas. Sellepärast, et nagu te teate, meie Inspiraatorid grupis üks asi, mida ma väga hindan, on see teekond coachi ja mentorina, mida ma tahan tegelikult jagada, mis on need praktilised sammud, mida teie, kes te olete selles kohas, kas sa oled alguskohas või oma äri arendamise kohas, kuidas sina saad võtta nendest lugudest need praktilised sammud ja iseenda äriga parandada. Ja täna me räägimegi Täniga siis rohkem sellel vaatepunktil, kuidas tema on üldse jõudnud nii kaugele, et ta on saanud nii paljudesse riikidesse, et ta on suutnud nii palju inimesi aidata, mis on seal taga, mis on need õppetunnid, mis ta on saanud siis oma äri loomise juures, mitte ainult siis hingamistehnikate juures. Ma täpsustan 250 000. See on rohkem kui 25 000. Nii, ja kindlasti see on teie võimalus. Mina hoian silma peal laivi kommentaaridel, nii et kui sul on küsimus, siis pane see siia kirja, sest et ma edastan selle Tänile ja me saame siit kindlasti täna väga-väga palju kulda. Niisiis, hello Dan. It is really, wait, I'll ask you to unmute for a second. Nii. Ja ma igaks juhuks tuletan meelde, et ma räägin Täniga inglise keeles. Nii. Et Tän on meil tegelikult reisinud, see on ka põhjus, miks me teeme seda tänase reisi.
There you are, hello.
Yes, hello. It is super exciting for me to have you here and in front of my community of many different coaches and mentors, and what you have done in your career is absolutely amazing. We would all like to do that, which is why we are asking a lot of questions today, how you did it.
I am definitely living my dream. Yeah.
Then I hope we'll ask a lot of good questions that will let us also understand how to live that dream. And I would like to start off with a pretty simple question. I think it's a really important question. What inspired you to become a breathing technique master in the first place. And what was your journey in the early days? Like, how did you get to that idea that this is what I want to do, teach others?
Yeah, well, I don't think I made some conscious choices along the way, but in one level, I never really had a choice. I was awakened to the breath, and the priest was reading from the book of Genesis in the Bible, how God took dust of the earth and formed the body of man and breathed into the nostrils of man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. I don't know. There was just something so exciting about that to me. I couldn't understand why everybody wasn't excited. It was like, what? God is breathing into me every breath? And so it was like a spark in a very young age that there was something magical, something mystical about the breath. And so I was the young child who was having breath holding contests in the schoolyard and playing games with hyperventilating and then passing out. And when I was a child, and every job I ever had my first job was as an X-ray technician, and I took a lot of chest X-ray.
Mhm.
You tell the person, take in a deep breath, hold it, and then click, you take the breath, otherwise the X-ray. And I began to watch people very carefully when they breathe. And it was as if the breathing began to speak on their face, what they thought was a full breath, what they did to accomplish a full breath. And I started to realize that a person's relationship to their breath is a reflection and an expression of their relationship to their body, their relationship to life, their relationship to the world. And so I became more and more fascinated with breathing because it seemed to me that the breath held a lot of information. And then when I animation, and the first time I came upon someone who was clinically dead, their pupils were fixed and dilated. They had no pulse. They were not breathing. And I blew into them and they blinked and woke up like a miracle. Who wouldn't want to do that every day of their life? And so I just kept going deeper and deeper into the breath. And I was in the military, and I was a deep sea diver in the military. I did underwater rescue. I was a medical specialist who was doing underwater rescue, medical rescue, and special operations. So I was trained in breath holding and breath control. And when I got out of the military and I went to the university, my first university professor introduced me to rebirthing. And I did my first rebirthing session in 1976. And all of the stress and all of the trauma that I had accumulated in 5 years in the military, in 1 hour of breathing, it just fell off me like skin off of a snake. And I felt so young and so tender and so light and so beautiful. And so the power of the breath to clean us and to clear us, I just kept finding more and more precious aspects of the breathing. So now I've been teaching for 50 years. I have been to 70 countries, and I've had my hands on 250,000 people or more. And right now I'm in India. And so I come to India to return to the roots of breathwork, ancient system of pranayama, and the yoga of breathing. And so I'm still a student. And it's the only thing that I've done every month since June of 1976, and I've never missed a month. And so my archives on information on breathing go all the way back to 1976. And there's always more to learn, and there's always something else to discover. So I'm still amazed. I am a missionary for the breath forces. And Tony Robbins is one of my clients. I've trained doctors and psychotherapists and celebrities and performers and everyone who has a belly button. If you have a belly button, then breathing can help you. It can help you in sports. It can help you in Tantra involves breathing, improves your sex life. It allows us to deepen our connections. And so the breath is the bridge. It connects the body to the mind. It connects the unconscious mind to the conscious mind. And it connects us to higher intelligence. It connects us to each other. And so there seems to be no limits to what we can do with the breath. And I'm looking for the next possibility every time I visit a new country or I work with a new client. I'm watching for the next miracle.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about. I think I felt a little bit of that miracle actually this July when I was in the training with you in Saaremaa. And it really was much more than I was expecting. And here actually comes the second question that I feel like many coaches have this challenge when they are teaching a topic that is kind of like a soft value topic. For example, breathing is sometimes hard for people to see the connection to specific results that they want in their life. How did you overcome that part? How to communicate people the value of breathing so that they would actually use it and be interested in learning it?
Right. Well, people who work in high stakes life and death situations, they're trained to breathe. You need to manage your physiology. You need to manage your arousal. You need to manage your mental state. You need to manage your emotions. And so if it didn't work, it wouldn't be used in the special forces and Navy SEALs and high performing CEOs. It's a way to manage our energy. It's a way to, and if you practice, you get results, and so you don't believe anybody. And the physical benefits are direct volatile acid and our pH, the acid-base balance in our body. So if you underbreathe or you overbreathe, or your breathing is not optimal, then your chemistry is constantly being affected. And when your chemistry is affected, your cognitive abilities suffer, your perceptual abilities, your ability to handle stress, your ability to recover from diseases, prevent diseases. And so breathing is one of the ultimate healers. You can go, days. I just did 10 days without food here in India. You can go days without water, but you can only go minutes without breath. And so breath is connected to every other function and every other system in the body. And so when you improve your breathing, you improve all of the other systems and functions in the body. And now the science is unarguable. It used to be 50 years ago, it was woo-woo and new age and, only hippies or monks or yogis, practice it. But now the science is completely unarguable. There have been so many studies on the benefits of functional breathing, of full free breathing, of breath control. And so I don't have to convince people anymore, because anyone who is even slightly interested and does a little scientific Google search we'll find that all of the leading scientists and medical people in the world have realizing the benefits and doing more and more studies to prove the benefits. And so I was fortunate because I didn't want to wait for the science. And I invite other people, don't wait for the science. If you need the science, it's already there. But what science is now accepting, we're already 10 steps ahead. And it might be 1 or 2 or 5 years before the science is able to actually prove what we are now practicing. If I would have waited when I was in the military in 1970s for the science to catch up to people's lives, because we didn't have, but when you practiced, you felt and you could the benefits. And so, and that's the invitation I make to everyone, that all you need to do is practice a few things, and your physiology changes, your emotional state changes, your perceptual abilities change, your ability to concentrate, your ability to remain balanced in the middle of chaos, your ability to release tension and stress. Those skills come very, very quickly with just a little bit of practice. So it used to be 40, 50 years ago, yes, it was very difficult. I felt like a voice crying out in the desert, and knows in 50 years now, leading psychiatrists, leading medical doctors, leading scientists, military, it works, and you can't argue with success.
Mm. So I guess it's also like overcoming the fear and believing in the cause of it, and keep believing in the technique itself. I also know.
Well, you don't have to believe, because when you practice, you have a direct experience. Now, maybe you have to, just assume that something is true until you practice it, and then you can prove it to yourself. But no, it doesn't matter what you believe. If you hold your breath, many powerful things begin to happen in your body. And when you hyperventilate, many powerful things start to happen in your brain and your body. And so you don't need to believe anything. You simply need to practice, because concepts get you nowhere. Training gets you everywhere. And if you train yourself in breath control, and you train yourself to be aware of your breathing, then you don't need to believe anybody. You can do the test yourself, and very quickly. That's why I love introducing breathwork to people, especially people who are skeptical, who go, breathing, schmeating, what's that? I love those people, because in a very short time, if they are willing to actually do the breathing exercises and the breathing techniques, then most people are pretty amazed at how powerful it is.
Hmm. What would you say to those people who are also in holistic practices, not necessarily breathing, but how can they come over that kind of like hopelessness that people don't understand how important it is? And how do you overcome that situation? Do you just like believe in yourself in that moment that it is good what you're doing, it is needed, or is there something that you would say to those?
Yeah. Well, for example, a sigh of relief, right? Everyone knows what a sigh of relief is, but the actual definition of a sigh of relief is an inhale that's twice as big as normal. And so anybody listening, I just invite you right now, you take an inhale that's twice as big as your average breath, and then when you let it go, let go of your jaw, let go of your neck, let go of your shoulders. And when you let the exhale go and you relax, you immediately do something to your nervous system. You trigger the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. And if you do that again, and then do it again, one of the most recent studies comes from Stanford University Medical Center, and they studied the sigh. 5 minutes is called cyclical sighing, a cycle of sigh after sigh after sigh for 5 minutes has more measurable benefits than any meditation technique they tried or any breathing exercise that they have tested. 5 minutes of simply repeating a sigh of relief, and cortisol levels are reduced, heart rate, blood pressure go down, perceptual abilities get heightened. And so if anyone is sensitive to their own body, sensitive to their own energy, if they can observe the quality of their own thoughts, if they can observe feelings in their body, then just practicing a sigh of relief again and again. And I encourage people to do it right now. We don't have to wait. You take a long inhale, a big inhale, and then let go. And then do it again. And then do it again. And keep doing it while I'm talking. And so you could make the first part of your inhale into your belly, and then the second part in your chest. And now you're sure you've taken a big full breath, and then you let it go and relax and loosen your shoulders and loosen your jaw and let go at the side. Within just 5 or 10 breaths, already you can begin to feel better, you feel more energized, and you feel calmer. And so if you're not connected to your body, if you're not aware of your feelings and sensations, then you begin to get more aware of your feelings and sensations. So breathing is meditation for people who can't meditate. And if you meditate on every breath, then you're quieting your mind, you are raising your energy, you're expanding your consciousness, and very, very quickly you see that you're in a better state. That's why you see in all athletes, in basketball, before they shoot, they take a breath and then they shoot. Or an Olympic diver on the edge of the diving board, and they curl their toes around the edge of the diving board. And before they do their dive, what do? They take a breath. Athletes, Olympic athletes and high-performing sports people, they wouldn't practice it if it didn't work. If you have an important presentation, you have an important talk, you have an important phone call, before you make it, you breathe for a few minutes. And then you're in a better state to perform. You think more clearly, you're more relaxed, you're more energized, and you perform better. People wouldn't practice this if it didn't work.
Yeah. Would you say that it is better to focus on the people who are open to learning from us? For example, other than breathing, like holistic practices, like a lot of energy work, there are a lot of people who are kind of like you said, for breathing too, that I don't know that it works. So how did you create the connection with those people so that they would be willing to try?
Yeah. We tell stories, give examples, point them to scientific and medical studies, invite other people who've practiced to give their personal experience. And if you're open and willing to listen, it doesn't take long before you're ready to try. And I'm very good at convincing people to try. I can embarrass them. I can seduce them. I can cajole them. I can find ways to force them to try. And so that's the only thing required. But that's the beautiful thing, because breath work is so empowering. We don't need anybody to tell us what to do. And right now in the world, there's so much confusion. For every scientific study, there's an opposite scientific study. For every opinion, there's an opposite opinion. One person says something's right, and another person says, no, that's wrong. And you don't know who to believe, and you don't know what's true. And so more than ever, we need to find our own something inside, a compass, our own inner teacher, to awaken our own intuition, and to get in touch with our higher self. And people who do energy work or holistic kind of practices, they understand that there's a connection between the mind and the body. So, in a holistic, what spirit is, it's the breath. And so it's body, mind, and breath. And when you powerful and very healing, and it's very awakening. You see, if you just practice observing, you don't even have to breathe in any special way. You're breathing. This is something anyone can do. You're already breathing, so you don't have to do anything different, but you pay more attention to your breathing. You tune into the details of your breathing. I invite people who are listening now to do that. If you close your eyes or with eyes open, notice the sensations at the tip of your nose and breathe in and out, and observe those subtle sensations, those details. You're looking for details in the breathing that you've never observed. So as you breathe in, notice those sensations at the tip of your nose. And then when you breathe out, notice the sensations at the tip of your, between the sensations on the inhale and the sensations on the exhale. For example, you might notice the air is cooler coming in and it's warmer going out. And you can bring your attention deeper into your nasal passages, let's say the bridge of your nose, and focus your awareness there. And you can take your awareness into your sinuses and your skull. And when you breathe, notice the sensations in your sinuses and in your skull. In your head when you breathe. Notice the breath as it passes through your throat. And then notice up under your collarbones on the upper chest, and notice the movement there. And then allow your awareness to go into your heart space and your ribs and your lower ribs. And notice the expansion of your chest. And feel movement in your belly when you breathe. So you just observe the sensations. This is meditation. The more mindful you are, the more conscious you are of your breathing, the more conscious you are of everything. The more aware you are of your breath, the more aware you are of your body, your feelings, your reactions, the tone of your voice, your posture, and the more aware you are of your environment. So by becoming conscious and aware of our breathing, we become more conscious and aware of everything. And that helps us in life to be more conscious of what's happening around you and what's happening inside of you and your own reactions and your self-talk and the feelings and sensations in your body. So when I was an X-ray technician, I was, and they called me to the emergency room, and they wanted me to x-ray the abdomen of this woman. And so as I was pushing her to the x-ray department and I was reading the report, it said she had pain in her abdomen 2 hours. And so I said, oh, it looks like you've had pain in your belly for 2 hours. She said, yes, 2 hours ago, my stomach really started to hurt. It's really hurting. And so I'm trying to make her comfortable. I said, okay, don't worry. I'm going to take your x-ray. The doctor will look at it and everything will be fine. We'll take care of you. When I looked at her x-ray, she had a tumor the size of a grapefruit in her stomach. And I thought, this thing didn't appear 2 hours ago. This has been growing inside of her for weeks or months or years. How come she didn't feel it sooner? And that frightened me. That scared me. And I went to bed that night and I thought, that's never going to happen to me. There is no way that something could grow that big and I'm not going to feel it when it's this big. And so I went to bed that night and I turned my attention inward, maybe for the wrong reason because of fear, but at least I began to notice the importance of developing awareness of my internal state. And that, I'm 74 years old now. That has caused me to prevent many, many illnesses. I've never had a headache. In 50 years, I haven't had one headache. My intuition is much better than the average person. I feel things on a very subtle level before they develop into a big, complicated problem. And anyone can develop these same skills and these same abilities. It's nothing special. It's a talent and a skill that we all have, but very few people practice or develop it. And that's what breath work is about. It's about discovering the potential that we have. And it's about developing higher abilities. That's exactly the synopsis of my book, And Just Breathe, that all of the extraordinary abilities and the high states that we usually connect to the great yogis or the saints or the mystics or the great warriors, everyone can access those same high states of consciousness and those same extraordinary abilities. And the key to it is breathing.
Mm. I have a question now about your journey to different countries, because we in Estonia think it's kind of hard to imagine just going outside and starting to share it in different countries. As you have traveled to different countries, the first question I would like to ask is, how did you find those opportunities to go outside? Did you just make them yourself? Or is it also kind of like when you're ready for it, the opportunities come to you? And how have these opportunities come to you, and what do they look like in your journey going to different countries? How did you get there?
Yeah, because there was no Western style or science of breath work. So I had to go to India. I had to go to China looking for teachers. And I was fortunate because there was a group of people who were also interested like me. And so we supported each other and we encouraged each other to study with different teachers and travel to China and India and Europe and even in Russia. I went to Russia in 1990 because I heard of Buteyko and I wanted to study the Buteyko method. I heard of this guy Ivanov out in Siberia who was wearing his underwear in the snow and he practiced some breathing things. And so whenever I heard about anyone who was teaching something about breathing, I made it my business to find them and to study with them. And so that's where it started. And then every time I learned something, I felt obligated to share it with people. If you find somebody that helps you, you want to share it with the people you love and with the people you know, and you want everybody to know that. That's one of the beautiful things about breath work, is it opens up our heart, and we start to feel this genuine love and compassion for other people, not just our family, not just our children, not just our own parents, but there's a sort of a universal love. There's a universal compassion that opens up in us, and we can't help it. It's not an accident that the lungs are wrapped around the heart. And so when you're breathing, you're literally beginning to open up your heart, and breathing opens up heart intelligence, and it opens up body intelligence, and that awakens our intuition. So then we end up going to the right place at the right time and meeting the right people, because our intuition is getting better, and we end up in the right place at the right time without being able to plan it or know about it, because our intuition gets better and better the more we breathe. And when you are committed to something, when you're totally committed to something, the universe supports you. And support comes from unusual places, accidental, coincidental meetings. And you meet someone, they change your life. Or I overhear a conversation in a cafeteria, and I end up meeting Ram Dass. I overheard someone suggested, my first time I came to India in 1980, my teacher, Leonard Orr, he said, hey, let's go meet Indira Gandhi. She was the Prime Minister of India in 1980. I said, I thought it, I didn't say it, but I said, what, are you crazy? Go meet the Prime Minister. Who are we? What, do we go knock on the door of the White House? But you trust your teacher, and I'm in India. So we went, we got a taxi. He said, hey, we want to go meet the Prime Minister. And he says, oh, I guess you want to go to the presidential palace. I guess so. I don't know. Where's the Prime Minister? So he took us to this building. We went into the building, and this person asked us, can I help you? And I said, yeah, we'd like to meet Indira Gandhi. He said, well, what's your name? He took our name. He said, come back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, and there's a long line from that door all the way down the building and around the corner. So we just got in the line, and I thought, well, maybe she comes out every day and she waves to people. I don't know. But after about 20 minutes, some Indian man with a clipboard, he's walking down the line, and he calls our name. Dan Brulé, Leonard Orr. And I had my 7-year-old son with me. And so he said, come with me. We followed him into the building. He took us into this big conference room. We sat at a conference table, and he said, just wait here. 5 minutes later, Indira Gandhi walks into the room. And we spent 1 hour talking to the Prime Minister of India. My 7-year-old son was sitting on her lap. We talked about the schools in India. We talked about yoga. We talked about the difference in America. And the first thing I said to her, I said, I've been trying to meet the president of the United States my whole life. I've never been able to. I'm in India for 2 days, and I'm meeting the Prime Minister. I said, how does that happen? She said, well, India is a very magical country. And so when you're doing what you're supposed to do, then the universe supports you. But if you're doing what you think what you should do, if you're doing the work that your parents told you must do, and you're not following your heart, and you're not doing the work you really want to do, then you don't get that kind of support. Mm-hmm. And many people, they haven't found their purpose in life, because they need to make money, or I went to school and they made me go to school and I studied this and I got a job, but you really hate your job. Well, you're never going to really be good at that. And the universe is never really going to support you, because it's not aligned with your mission and your purpose in life. And so that's the first thing about success. You have to make sure you love what you do, and that what you do is aligned with your highest values, and that it not only feeds your bank account, it feeds your soul. And if you're not doing work like that, don't be surprised if you get sick and you're tired and you hate your job and you're not successful. The reason is clear. Find out what you love and then find a way to make money at it. I love to breathe, and this year I'm going to make $1 million. I can't even believe it myself. My online courses and the seminars, when we're looking at them, in 18 months, I'll probably make $1 million. Now, 70% of that is overhead and expenses and paying for my staff and my office. But just from breathing, most people would think, how the heck can you? But if you're doing what you're meant to do, you will have tremendous success at it. If it feeds your soul and you are giving genuine value to the world, then the world will reward you. It's karma. It's the law of cause and effect. If you produce value, people will pay you. That's it.
It's a really great message. I think a lot of people need to hear that, because in the beginning of the journey as a coach, as a mentor, it is sometimes hard to remember that when it's hard to communicate what we are giving. And
yeah, you can't do it for the money.
Yes.
Yeah. It has to be, you have to be service oriented. You can't do it for the money. You do it because you have a natural urge to share, to uplift people, to provide value, to make the world a better place, to help people, to serve people. And then the money will come. Mm-hmm. And I worked at advertising because I couldn't make any money teaching, and nobody pays you to study breathing. Although in 1985, someone did exactly that. They paid me to go and study breathing and then come back and tell them what I learned. And so I started to get paid to study what I myself, the first time I went to Russia in 1990, the first time I went to Europe in 1980, no one paid me. I just wanted to go because it was the only way I could learn. And when you learn something of value, if it helps you, it will help other people. And so there's a natural order to things. And there were a lot of other people who were studying other things, but no one was studying breathing. And I thought, well, I'm going to become an expert in breathing. And now after 50 years, even people who've been practicing breath work for 20 years, they still they're newbies to me. They're I've been a student of the breath for over 50 years.
Yes, it's amazing too. I was just telling also in the beginning to the listeners that you have been doing breath work 2 times as long as I have lived, because I'm 25. So it's it is really amazing. Yeah. It has been a really long and
no, I've somehow gotten old and I didn't even notice. Yeah.
But I really think that the message.
Yeah, it's been a dream, and to be with people when they connect their own spirit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Seems like the internet left us for a second.
Breathing connects us to our spirit. An expert, you don't need an authority. There's something very about breathing. It's really enjoyable to take a full breath.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Welcome back.
Ah,
Okay, yes, we're back. It's interesting, you know, like when the energy goes really good, like energy goes up, technology tends to react negatively towards that.
oh, yes. Yes. You know, I had a client once, he had 40 electric shock treatments for a psychiatric disorder. And when he breathed, the lights would go out, the television stopped working.
Amazing. Yeah, I guess technology
Yeah,
feeling kind that you're
breathing's
doing a
very
great job.
powerful. And we have an electric body. I think that's really important for people to remember. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. You know, the heart puts out an electromagnetic frequency, and you can measure it from two. When you breathe, you put energy into that, and you actually generate, your heart generates more energy when you breathe. And energy is information, and energy is how we connect to each other. And so, you know, there's a lot of subtle energy work related to breathing, not just physiologically and chemically and emotionally, but energetically. We have an energy body, and most people, they're not in touch with their energy body. And just like you need to take or eat food, you need to clean and balance your energy body. You need to restore your energy. And we get more energy from breathing than we get from food. So the better you breathe, the more energy you have. And the more energy you have, the more work you can do. and, and the better work that you can do.
Okay, yeah, I actually like really experienced that what you were saying that when I was in the training for 5 days, I had uh, I had some trouble sleeping, but I was amazed how rested I was because we were breathing for 5 days straight, and I felt like the breathing brought so much energy into my body, so I didn't need to sleep. So it was an interesting experience for me. But there is
Exactly. That's a good problem. That's a good problem to have. Yeah. It's true. Most people report that. What do you do with extra time? Instead of sleeping, you practice relaxing, you practice meditating, and you get a certain quality of rest that normally people only get that rest when they sleep. But you can begin to give it to yourself while
yes, okay.
that's very common. And it is a problem. They think, and we and you know how to do, and you got to be up and
Okay. It seems the internet is failing me a little bit, but I think like to bring together some of the great thoughts that Dan gave. Oh, hello. It seems like the internet is failing us a little bit. So I will take together some really key points that I really like that you brought out, like in your journey as a breathing coach or breathing master. I feel like one of the messages that is really important to hear here is that the universe will start supporting you with opportunities when you are in alignment with what you are meant to be doing in this world and connection with yourself. So the intuition will actually start coming out more in that moment. But also understanding that breath work is actually very, very versatile as a tool that we can use every day, even with different problems and different challenges in our lives. And I also think that having used them myself, I really do feel the difference. Like, for example, today I felt that my energy was low. I actually like had that moment like, oh my God, we're gonna have this interview in the evening, and like, how do I get the energy up? And I did what you taught us in July, and it's amazing how quickly it can make a difference in how I feel, in how I express myself. So it is a really powerful tool. And then I will continue in Estonia to explain the due day masterclass that is coming next week. Nii et nüüd lähen eesti keelele tagasi üle, aga praegu nagu näete, on olukordi, kus tegelikult sellised pika maa tagant vestlused, me saame sellest osa, aga tehnoloogia võtab teise osa endaga kaasa. Aga järgmine nädal on tegelikult võimalus 2 päeval Daniga veel lähemalt tuttavaks saada ja just nende hingamispraktikate ja tehnikatega, mis päriselt aitavad siis sul tõsta seda energiat, olla rohkem fookuses ja tõesti, ma väga soovitan sellega liituda, sest et minu jaoks on hingamistehnikad väga suure erinevuse teinud selles, kuidas mina igapäevaselt oma energiat juhin. See on nii palju lihtsam nendel rasketel päevadel tulla jälle üles ja leida see motivatsioon, leida see energia pärast seda, kui ma olen teinud neid hingamispraktikaid. Ja meie järgmisel nädal on siis 2-päevane meistriklass koos Daniga, kus me jagame 3 tähtsal teemal, ehk siis kuidas hingamispraktikate abil luua edu nii äris, elus kui ka armastuses, sest et need on kõik asjad, mis tegelikult üksteist toetavad ja mõjutavad. Ja ma usun, et need hingamispraktikad ja see, mida Dan räägib, see on minu jaoks on olnud üliinspireeriv kuulata teda rääkimas, sest et nagu te vist loodetavasti saite siit nendest klippidest ka aru, kui sees Dan on selles teemas, kui palju ta armastab seda ja ma tunnen, et coach'i, koolitaja, mentori vaatepunktist see on üks kõige tähtsamaid asju selleks, et me saaksime inimesi inspireerida ja veenda neid kasutama neid praktikaid on see, et meie ise peame sellest olema lihtsalt ülivaimustuses. Nii et juba järgmisel teisipäeval on esimene meistriklassi päev. Ja kuni teisipäevani on siis selle meistriklassiga liitumine ainult 5 eurot. Pärast seda see hind tõuseb, nii et tasub minna ja vaadata, sest Dan on tõesti maailma tasemel tegija ja see on eraldi meile Eesti inimestele loodud võimalus, sellepärast et meil on Heiki Tomson, kes juhatab seda sisse eesti keeles ja jagab ka natukene tagataustal seal eesti keeles ja meie oleme ka seal Agnesega tegelikult tagataustal toetamas seda ja natukene ka tõlkimas seal jooksu pealt neid mõtteid, mida Dan tegelikult edasi annab. Nii et kasuta seda võimalust, et saada päriselt seda energiat, inspiratsiooni maailma tasemel tegijalt, kes on oma elu jooksul 250 000 inimest aidanud nende tehnikatega järgmisele tasemele. See on mega number ja see on üks viis, kuidas õppida nendelt kes on meile inspiratsiooniks. Nii et kohtumiseni teiega seal meistriklassis, aga tänaseks ma soovin sulle imelist nädala jätku. Juba järgmisel neljapäeval on meil siis uus teema. Meil tuleb rääkima Katrin Hindrikus, kuidas teha ühte mega ägedat podcasti. Et jälle äge teema, väga praktiline. Kohtume juba järgmisel neljapäeval. Tšau! Kui sa said sellest osast väärtuslikke taipamisi, siis kindlasti jaga seda podcasti osaga kellegi teisega. Sest üheskoos saame aidata rohkematel inspiraatoritel oma teekonnal edukad olla. Ja kindlasti jälgi ka meie podcasti, sest siis saad sa esimeste seast teada, kui meie järgmine osa välja tuleb. Ja juhul, kui sa oled kohas, kus sa tunned, et oleks vaja natukene tuge ja juhendamist, kuidas päriselt luua nii finantsilist tulemust kui ka paremini inspireerida, siis vaata lähemalt meie Inspiraatori teejuhi programmi. Ja Inspiraatori teejuht sisaldab meil üle 50 tunni praktilisi koolitusi, lisaks üle 80 tehnilise abivideo erinevatest programmidest, et sa saaksid üles ehitada süsteemid, mis toetavad sinu ajalist vabadust. Lisaks veel mitmeid juhendeid, kontrollnimekirju, mis aitavad sul erinevad protsessid üles ehitada. Nii et kui see pakub sulle huvi ja sa tahad kiirendada oma eduprotsessi, siis vaata lähemalt sigritsäga.com /inspiraatori /teejuht. Ja kohtume juba järgmises episoodis.